How is it going? Ryan here, and today I'm going to review the two trades I took on SPY, both being winners, albeit both of them were very small, so overall profit on the day was pretty low. Um, but the idea was there. The trades played out. Just poor execution on my part again, in a different way this time. But we'll dive into that later. For now, I have the daily chart open. We're looking at some levels. We have common levels from this week. Nothing really has changed in terms of these daily levels that we have plotted here. Just areas of either strong resistance and or support, depending on where the price is in relation to it. Those are those white or gray levels that we see. Those are all from the daily time frame. I will dive into some more on a lower time frame here. So I'm looking at a 15-minute. So we have this green line, which is the high yesterday. We have the red line, which is the low of yesterday. We have this demand zone down here from this low of yesterday that you can see we came down, and that was the bottom area from which point we rallied upwards. We have this demand or supply zone turned to demand once we were above it, but this supply zone was drawn from the hourly chart, not daily, excuse me, hourly chart. If we look in here, you can see where that zone comes from. Just an area that we've had a lot of wicks into and quick reversals, depending on which side of that zone we were on. We also had this zone to the upside that we were watching, based off of the hourly chart as well. Well, we have a couple. I guess this one didn't really play into it, but we have this zone from the hourly chart, which is the high of most recent high before we had this big sell-off. Then we have a zone up here. Going back to a smaller time frame and looking at today's action, we also have a few levels here. This being the low of the pre-market, this being the high of the pre-market, this level right here being an area of confluence in the pre-market, as well as the whole number 452 as an area of resistance once we broke above as the area of support. And you can kind of see how it played its part in the morning as well. Those are all the levels that I was watching. So we have pre-market high, the zone from the hourly chart, a level in the pre-market and a whole number, zone from hourly chart, high of yesterday, daily level, low of pre-market. With that being said, what I was looking at is we were opening up near the high of yesterday's trading session and within this zone. If you want to look at how this zone played out for yesterday's session, we can look back and you can see how at both times that we wicked up into it, we sold off. So clearing that level and opening up around it, I was curious to see if we could maintain a price above the high of yesterday and continue to remain above this zone. So as long as this zone held as support / demand, I felt confident that we might make our way up to this next zone up here that we had. We opened, had a strong candle off the start, pulled back below that 452 level for close, but closed strongly above the high of yesterday and above this zone. We tested that 452 pre-market level again, failed to close above it. From here, we sold down into this zone again. On the candle close, we found that we closed above yesterday's high of day as well, so we're still maintaining support / demand in this area. I hopped in my first trade of the day. I hopped in calls at the end of this candle. It was either at the end of this candle or the beginning of this candle. Might have been in the beginning of this one. With that being said, though, my stop was if we had a move and close below this level. I was trading off a 5-minute chart, so not necessarily a 5-minute close, because if we say we're all the way down here before closing, that obviously wouldn't have worked. I would have wanted to trim or cut my loss much sooner than that. But I saw that we had this bottom wick here. That was really another thing that I was watching, is if we maintained this zone and didn't break below this low wick that we had. But in this candle, we pushed all the way up to 452.4 and then we sold all the way down to 451.4. So about $1 swing in this candle. But I held on. I held through this. I didn't cut, and we closed above yesterday's high day within this zone, which let me know that we still have buyers present. We still have demand in this zone. So I held on. I had a 453 call, by the way. My strike price was 453. This was for tomorrow's expiration. And my stop was if we had a convincing break below this low and break out of this zone if we couldn't hold this zone. On the subsequent candle, we retested yesterday's high of day again. We pushed up, we sold back. So I didn't sell here. I was up pretty decent at this time. I didn't sell. I wanted to see us hit this zone. We sold off. We came down, retested this zone almost twice here. You can see the positive reaction. Rallied all the way to the upside. In here, the price action was slowing down a little bit, as was volume, as you can see. And I sold on this candle, so I got impatient. If you count how many 5-minute candles we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each of these are 5-minute time frames. So I was in this trade for about 40 minutes. And I will admit, I was good on my rule set, not getting stopped out on emotions in here, even after coming all the way up and then coming down and selling into this zone. I think we were near break even as we came and touched this area in the premium that I paid. So I held through all this, which I'm proud of. But I did get impatient after about like 40 minutes of being in this trade. And it looked like we might not reach that zone. As you can see, that we were struggling to kind of close a new high. So we had a high here that we wicked off once, set a slightly newer high but closed below it, wicked up, and then started selling off. I sold here for a very modest gain. I think it was a $9 profit, which is kind of absurd when you realize that I bought the premium down here. But I think a lot of this sideways action, I think some time decay, kind of really the premiums on this trade didn't move super well. Once we got all the way up into this zone, had you bought down in here or at the very bottom, you would have made a nice trade. But from where I bought to selling up here, it was a $9 profit. And I did not sell at the bottom of this candle by any means. I sold somewhere in here as I saw us open up and then reject pretty much immediately on higher volume. I got out because I didn't want to see us come back down into this zone again and take a loss. So I did not follow my rule. My rule was to sell once we hit this zone. And if you look at how the trade played out, it played out perfectly. We hit this zone and that was the high of the day. So the trade idea was there. I held through some of this roughness. I didn't let this scare me out. I followed price action. I followed just watching volume come in. As we failed to close in this area, we held above 452. So feel good about how I traded that. I don't feel good about cutting early here and not letting it hit my target. If I hit my target, I would have had a pretty decent gain on the day as I initially planned. But with that being said, still a winner. Just yeah, I think I just got sick of holding after 40 minutes and price wasn't moving as I was hoping it would. So yeah, got a little impatient there. Not the greatest trade. A good look, you know, it went level to level. It held this level. Everything was valid. I just got impatient. So right idea, not the best execution here. Even if I just waited a few more minutes and sold on this candle, I would have had a better trade. But 2020 hindsight, you can't always look back and have the same emotional response that you were experiencing during the trade. That's for sure. My second trade was puts off of this candle right here. So after we came up and hit this zone and failed to close inside of it, we started slowing down. You can see kind of the price action moving into this zone was slowing down. We wicked into it. I took a small put for a scalp. I was really just trying to scalp to this local swing bottom here, previous high of day and local swing bottom, or just an area that we bounced before reaching this zone. So I just wanted a quick scalp because I took such a small profit here. I think the reasoning behind this trade was twofold. One being very good reasoning, the second being emotional reasoning and not good. So I took the trade because we had reached this zone, and you usually trade zone to zone. So after we reached this zone, price action slowed down. I expected us to get at least a small pullback. I can't say that I expected to sell all the way down here, but I did expect a bit of a pullback, which we did get. So I was just trying to scalp a put off of it. So seeing us close, fail to break above that, trading this zone, waiting for candle close, taking a put pretty much at the very top of this candle as we retested the bottom of this zone. Those are good reasons for getting into a trade. The bad reason is I had missed out on profits and I wanted more for the day. So that was greed coming into play, and that's not a good emotional reaction, but it is part of why I took this trade after already having a small winner. I didn't trade this one very well. As you can see, this would have been the high, pretty much the high of day, and we rode it all the way down into this zone. You can see we wicked back down in this zone. Although my plan was to scale out because it was a small scalp here. Had I held, you can see that we did go zone to zone. So I could have even waited for us to break trend. So I could have waited for us to break trend and then traded it down if I want to be extra careful. But nonetheless, I sold pretty early, and I actually had an error while selling on this. So we were wicking down. I had a stop loss right above this wick. I had a small win on the day. I wanted to not take much additional risk, so I had a really tight stop on this. And once we started selling off, I tried to close my stop loss and then market sell. But when I clicked on closing the stop loss, it didn't go through. And then when I went to sell, it obviously didn't work because I already had a limit sell order in place. So then I had to go back and cancel that. And then I tried to market sell, and then it was just thinkorswim was slow to react. By that time, we'd already kind of bounced up, and I got like a $3 gain on this, which is nothing. It's, barely even covers the fee to open and trade a contract. So overall profit on the day, I think 9 here, 2 here. It was overall profit $11. Had I held my trades to my destinations, could have had a much bigger day as we traded zone to zone. But that is an interesting thing to watch, is how price reacted to these zones and how pretty accurate they really were. And these levels, both from the daily and the pre-market, you can see this 452 in the pre-market was a pretty key level as we failed to close above it. Once we got above it, we ran all the way to the next level, came down, found support here again. Once we broke, came down, found support in this zone, retested this level. So you can kind of see just how price was reacting and how we bounced off these levels pretty much exactly to the T. So the trades are there, the ideas are there. Some of my execution was not so great. Today was a bit of a tricky day. As you can see, a lot of these really long wicks, a lot of these really tricky kind of candles. Price action was not the easiest thing to read today. So I am happy I came out with a win, much smaller than I'd like it to be. Execution could have been better, but the idea was there on both the trades I took. So overall, those are the trades I took. That's why I took them. That's why I was looking at. And as always, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. I trade live every Monday through Friday, so that means I will be back tomorrow morning trading live on this channel. If you feel so inclined, stop by, say hi, say what's up, check it out. And with that, I hope you have a great day. All right, peace.